Our next speaker is Prital Ullal. Ullal is the Director of Enterprise Big Data and Analytics at NCR. Data visualization, utilizing data warehouse and big data technologies for operational and management reporting. This includes technology and strategy expertise and thought leadership in the areas of business intelligence and enterprise data management. She leads her teams to drive usage of data and analytics to support business critical decisions and enhance NCR's data-driven culture. She holds a BS degree in Management Information Systems from University of Connecticut, an Executive Leadership Certificate from Cornell University, a Project Management Certificate, and Certified Scrum Master certification. Prior to joining NCR in 2011, she worked at IGH, Oracle, and Accenture in leadership roles. Please welcome Prital.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all feeling refreshed after your small break. So, first of all, thank you to Data Science Connect for inviting me today. It's a pleasure to be here. So today I'm going to talk to you about automated machine learning. I heard a rumor before I came here that machine learning is considered boring. So my goal today is to make it very interesting, lighthearted, and have you join me in the journey for the next 20 minutes. So I'll do a little bit of introductions. I'll explain what is automated machine learning, tell you the benefits, and I'd like to conclude with a use case that I and the team have done at NCR. So a little bit about NCR. We have been a technology innovator for 135 years. Chances are that you have actually interacted with us and might not even know it. So we power millions of transactions a day. If you have withdrawn cash at a bank ATM, if you've used a self-checkout register at any of the supermarkets or any of the big retail stores, if you have eaten at any of the fast food restaurant chains, or if you've gone to a gas pump, or if you've used a digital banking application on your mobile, that's NCR. And actually, we just moved to a building just a little bit, half a mile from here. So it's a lovely building, and I was lucky enough to walk down, so I didn't have to deal with traffic. So like I promised, it's going to be very interesting. So I want to start off with a scenario to capture your imagination. We have an approaching storm in a few days, and I am a cucumber farmer in Georgia. I'm a small farmer. I don't have a lot of money for having a lot of these automated tools. And weather is projecting that there's going to be a big storm, so my farm help has left. I now have to classify thousands of cucumbers quickly, and I have no help. So this actually is something that happened in Japan. This is a true world problem that a farmer encountered. So what happened is that in Japan, this small farm had a situation where they had to classify a lot of cucumbers and they didn't have farm help. And their son realized this, and what he did is he used TensorFlow's machine learning algorithm, and he fed it all the images of the cucumbers. And now this machine is able to classify and sort cucumbers, and it's actually saved his parents all the help that they would have needed to get to do the classification. And classifying cucumbers, by the way, isn't as easy as you and I think. It's very prickly. There's lots of different categories, and it's a very time-consuming task. So imagine how boring our life would be without cucumbers. So this wonderful open source software has helped this little farm in Japan, and the possibilities are endless for a lot of other applications. why is data becoming so important? I really like this quote from the founder of Sun. What he says is that it enables us to ask questions that we didn't even know to ask. This is very important because until you ask the right questions, you don't get answers. I have an interesting story to tell. Children are very innocent. They ask questions without inhibition. So a mother was showing her child a black and white picture of her grandparents. And the child asked the parents, the child said, so when you were growing up, was everything black and white around you? So this really tells us that data and images spark our imagination to ask questions. And that's why it's very important to continue this discipline. So what is automated machine learning, or as we affectionately call it, AutoML? What automated machine learning does is it automates the machine learning process, and it then enables us to solve real-world business problems. So in the AutoML process, there's lots of steps, and these steps are tedious. And it involves feature engineering, data cleansing, picking the right algorithm, tuning all the parameters to make sure that you get the model to give you the right answer. And this all takes time. So what AutoML does is it makes it available to two sets of folks. One is your experienced data scientist. The other, which we are seeing a lot of explosion, is the citizen data science. The citizen data scientist is someone that knows the data but necessarily doesn't know how to do the programming. So why do we have this dilemma here in 2019? One reason is that it does require, deploying models takes a lot of time. And it is a lot of trial and error. And finally, it is an art, and art requires perfection. And this is illustrated in the next video, which really brought a laugh from me. This is done by our friends at Actian Corporation. Well, I'll tell you what it is. What he said is, he said, data science is an art. And Beethoven, for example, didn't just create a song. He decided when he was going to write the song. So the point is that art requires the artist to decide when they're going to do things. They just don't do it when you decide you want them to do it. So why is there a talent shortage of data scientists? We require a lot from our data scientists. We want them to know mathematics, statistics. We want them to know a lot of the machine learning algorithms. We also want them to have an idea of the data, because if you don't have a context of the data, then you cannot solve the problem. And it is this intersection of all these skills that is not easy to find. And hence, when you're trying to get all these models out, it's difficult to find the right person. So I wanted to give you an illustration of why model creation is time-consuming. So you have to start out with features. Then you have to decide which algorithm. And then you have to tune the parameters. So here's an example of features. What features are you going to use if you're solving your problem? Then you have a list of machine learning models to pick from. And then you have to apply the right parameters, the right weights to all these features. And then you have to keep going through this cycle over and over again until you reach the right accuracy in your model output. And this is where it takes time, this iterative process where you're going through and saying, for each of these features, which algorithm do I use, which features, what weights, all that takes time. And the more complex your data, the longer it takes. And finally, what you're trying to get at is that 95% of accuracy. And this you have to do more than once because you might have many algorithms that you want to test. And this is where it takes the time because for each sweep that you do, you have to go through this process over and over again. Now, as we all know, time is very precious, and we're always being asked, when is my model going to be ready? When are you going to give me my answer?
The data will speak when it's ready, not a moment sooner.
There you have it. And Halloween is around the corner. This is how a sponsor might feel, where they're sitting at their desk and saying, hey, when is the model going to give me my answer? So this brings me to why does the automated machine learning tool actually speed up the process? So the reason that you're going to get speed is, so one thing I do want to mention is data ingestion and data preparation, we simply cannot ignore. This is an extremely important process, and it takes a while to do that, to get it correct. So this is not something yet that the automated machine learning vendors have helped us with, because this requires folks to really understand their data. But where you're going to see benefit is in the normalization, in the whole prepared data area. So what happens here is you have to normalize your data. What do I mean by that? You have lots of outliers. So you need to remove those outliers, and you want to give it a data set that you know will give you good results. Because if you have lots of outliers, your model isn't going to do a good job. With featureization is when you have data which has categories, those categories get changed to numerical values. And this is where your automated machine learning tool will help you with converting those categories into numerical values. Then you have to build and train your algorithm. Hyperparameter tuning. Hyperparameter tuning, think of the Disney movie Ratatouille. And remember the rat, he was creating all his wonderful meals. You have to turn a lot of knobs and provide the right weights to get the right answer. And for this, when you're doing it manually, it takes time. The tool will help you with getting a lot of this at a faster process. Automatic model selection. So the tool is giving you a bunch of models, and then you then are able to, it tells you which is the best model to use based on everything else that it's done before that. It helps with the model testing and with model validation. And then the most important thing is deployment of the model. I cannot tell you how important this is, because at the end of the day, we can all experiment and we can come out with our models, but if your model is not running in production and giving a continuous response and outcome and giving a return of investment, especially in a corporate environment, then you really haven't made that much of a difference. So that's why we're seeing that the AutoML tool is really helping with this. So I'll cover the benefits here. If you are an experienced data scientist, what this is giving you is speed to market. Because as we all know, we are in a very competitive environment. People are coming to us with lots of questions. They want answers very fast. And this is where the experienced data scientist can use the tool to quickly give an answer. And then you have the citizen data scientist. Notice I say that the citizen data scientist should be quantitative oriented. This is important. This is something that is not shared as much. You cannot just pick someone out from there and say, hey, go be a citizen data scientist. They must have some understanding of the numbers, and they must have the context of the data. And then they are well informed to use this tool and give it the right answers. I have a view of both Magic Quadrant from Gartner as well as the one from Forrester. These are the leading research vendors. So what you'll see on the left is the data science platform. So the data science platform is not just a point solution. It's where you have an entire platform to do your automated machine learning. And if you'll notice, some of the heavy hitters are now in this space. You have Oracle, you have Microsoft, you have Google, and you're going to see a lot more of these vendors coming out with their automated machine learning tools. And depending on your environment in your own company, if you are a Microsoft shop or if you are an Amazon, or you might tend to lean towards one of these platforms. On the right-hand side is the Forrester view, which has a lot of the point solutions that we're seeing out there, the NIMEs and the data robots and the H2Os. So it's very exciting to see all these vendors coming out, and I'm expecting to see that these will change quite rapidly, in the coming months and years. So let me talk about the use case that we did at NCR. So we started this journey about start of this year, and we decided we would take a real-world example. So a large Fortune 500 company such as ours has a collections group, an accounts receivable group, and we bill customers, and as you can see, when is the customer going to pay? So the problem at hand was to forecast when are all your open invoices going to get paid? What is going to be that number that comes back to you in your next accounting period? Why is this important? Because it serves as the foundation of your cash flow. And if any of you have experience running a business, be it small or large, you know that cash flow is one of your the hardest things that you have to deal with. And so it's extremely important that you know beforehand how much money you're going to get from the folks that you have sent a bill to. Now, all invoices have terms, but oftentimes we find that people might not pay you in those terms. So here's what we did. We took all our closed invoices. We took our automated machine learning tool, and these are all the features that we gave it. It was invoice information, customer information, and we fed it into the tool. And what it predicted for us is, for the next accounting period, if you look at all your open invoices, this is going to be how much money you get back. And so it tells you the number of days when the invoices will get paid, and it tells you what will be your total collection amount for the next accounting period. So on the left-hand side is where we sent the data to the model, and we let the model train it and create the scoring model, which we then applied to our real data set. So what was the result? The result I'm showing you here is, this is more statistics oriented, but the first one is called root mean square error. And this is telling you how good was your prediction. And the smaller the number, the better you are. The second one is R2. And this one is, if you're closer to 1, then you're better off. It tells you how good was the fit of your model. That's what R2 tells you. Because there's many models that the automated machine learning tool can pick. And so the closer you are to the number 1, it means that your AutoML tool picked a very good algorithm. And finally, we have mean absolute error. This is, what was your error? And obviously, the smaller the number, the better it is. You don't want a very big number. Now, this is something that we just recently started, so we're expecting to see a lot better results in our journey as we use the automated machine learning tool. So, one thing I will say is that it's very important that you use this tool in harmony as you start federating it out to your data scientists, because your data scientists and your citizen data scientists have to work, closely together. And that brings me to my, where does this tool work and where does it not work? If your data is labeled, it works well. What do I mean by that? So in the example of the images that are, the first slide where I talked about the cucumbers, your data is labeled there. In the use case that I gave an example of the invoice information predicting, all that data has a label. We know what it is. So in this case, the automated machine tool works well. Sometimes you don't know your data. It's coming to you from various, a lot of the unstructured data. It's difficult to know what it is. Here, the automated machine tool doesn't work as well. I bet all the data scientists are breathing a sigh of relief now. Because this is a question that always comes up. Is automated machine learning going to take over my job? Well, I just explained to you that when the data is not labeled, the tools at the moment, are not that mature to solve the problem. So I think that what it's going to do is it's going to free up the data scientists from a lot of the repetitive tasks. If you are a passionate quantitative data analyst that is sitting out there, it's really going to get you excited because you can use this tool without knowing a lot of the complicated programming that is needed. And you can then use the drag and drop features to build the models and give it an outcome. So in conclusion, it's a slow-working magic potion in motion. It is here to stay. And I think it's going to really enable all of us to solve problems and ask questions that we didn't know to ask. So thank you very much.